up, Mary Pat.
Good morning and welcome to Indy Boomer Magazine. I'm Mary Pat McKee and I'm sitting here this morning with Laura Roman with Westminister North Village, and we are going to talk about that and some other great ideas that we'd like to discuss. But before we get started, we always want to tell folks this is the May issue of Indy Boomer. You can pick that up at any Kroger or Marsh store in Indy and the surrounding areas. I want to let people know we started something new this issue, and that is if you open the magazine to the middle, you will see a little pull-out section called Boomer Plus. And this Boomer Plus section is for boomers that are helping their parents. So what we've tried to do is put all of our information into this resource guide to help boomers who may even, if they're on the high end of the boomer, helping themselves, but maybe a lot of us, I know, boomers are helping our parents. So that is there, and we are getting ready now for the July issue, be out July 1st, but let's just continue on. Westminster Village has been with us for quite some time, helping support the Boomer magazine. And Laura, I want to, you have a topic today that we have not discussed really on Boomer TV, on Hamilton County TV, is boomers, what are boomers thinking about when it comes to retirement?
Yeah, so it's really interesting as we look at people who consider retirement communities. You know, there's a lot of things that they keep in mind. One, do they want to stay in their house? Is it too big for them?
Right.
Two, how is their health?
Mm-hmm.
Is their health changing, or do they anticipate changing? And then three, location.
Yeah.
Where do they want to be? You know, as we get a little bit older, and maybe as we retire, some of us want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yeah.
Some of us want to live closer to our children who may be a distance away now. So,
or farther away from our children. It could go both ways.
Or it could go both ways. You're absolutely right. But, you know, oftentimes as we get to that retirement age, there are also other changes that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we are looking at really such a change in our lifestyle in terms of our time and what we do with our life during the day. Mm-hmm. And while for those of us working right now, we may say, wow, I can't wait until I retire. Those days get a little bit long sometimes if they're at home.
And you don't have something planned to do.
You don't have something planned to do. Secondly, you know, sometimes our friends are going through this process. They're moving. Maybe there are health issues, or maybe they're even passing away. And so, our life starts to change quite a bit at that point. And at this point, you know, we see a lot of people who seek out retirement communities. And so what is a retirement community? Retirement community is an all-inclusive type of area that has independent living homes.
Yes.
It has apartments.
Yes.
But if your health needs change, it also has assisted living apartments.
Yes.
And a health center or memory care. We call that a continuing care
I was just gonna say.
retirement community.
Yep, we've just talked about that a lot on the show. Yeah.
And that makes sense. You know,
Yes.
it says, well, if I move here, I will stay here. I will stay within this community, and I will. And I will continue to live at this one, basically, kind of same address. What does it take to move into a retirement community? Oftentimes you just have to be 62.
Right.
So, you know, many of us who are still working could consider moving into a retirement community. And what's the benefit? Well, you know, as I said, if you are considering, if you know that you are in an early stage of a health issue.
Right.
I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, or I've been diagnosed with heart disease, or some.
And you know you're going to need care eventually.
You know that your needs are going to change, and you are going to need care eventually, and maybe you don't want to be, say, I hate to use this word, but a burden to your children and things. You know, a retirement community might be a right option for you to look into.
You know, another thing I think about, you know, boomers, and again, I'll be selfish and talk about myself, but I think about, I've got the big house still, the kids are gone, ready to get rid of that. But one of the benefits, I think, of being in a retirement community is one is you have no maintenance of yard.
That's right.
I want to travel. We both agree we want to travel. Well, if I was in a retirement facility, I know all my stuff is there, it's good to go, and I can go do whatever I want. But then the other thing is that continuum of care. In seeing how my folks have processed or gone through this process, I think it's important that, they get to know the nurses. They get to know the people in that building. And as you get older, you really look for that structure, for that, the same people and the same things. So again, looking at a retirement facility has many advantages for baby boomers who, want to have all their stuff there, but they know eventually. I know I can't cut the yard as fast as I used to cut it, or things like that.
And you're right, maintenance is a huge issue, but in many retirement communities, it's not only the yard.
Yeah.
It's the dishwasher, and when the dishwasher breaks and we're like, oh man, who do I call now?
Yeah.
Well, in a retirement community, you call the maintenance department and they repair, replace, whatever. And that's all part of what your monthly fees are, your service fee.
Right.
Excuse me, there's security. So
Oh,
as
that's
you
a good
talk
one, too. That's a good one,
about
too.
moving or traveling and things like that, you know that your home will be taken care of, watched. If you need your plants watered, they're watered.
Right.
But one of the things I wanted to mention is the importance of having that community.
Yeah.
And that is, I read a statistic the other day and it was kind of alarming to me. It said that loneliness is as detrimental to our health as smoking.
Oh,
And
really?
so being alone in my home, now that I'm not working and I'm not getting out and seeing more people during the day, can in fact affect my health in such a negative way that, that is going to take my health in a bad place. So, retirement communities have activities planned all the time.
Right.
Like, you don't have to drive to the grocery store if you don't want to. There's a bus that will take you to the grocery store. You don't have to go out to the movie. There's movies that are shown there.
Exactly.
There are people who live in a communal area. Think of it kind of as your dorm room.
Yeah, it is, except we're 50 years later, right?
Except 50 years later. So
Okay.
you're meeting new friends. So many advantages of being in that retirement community.
Well, and that is one thing. I hope boomers won't be that way as much as our parents were, but our parents think of retirement communities as nursing homes,
Oh, what a horrible misconception that is.
It is for them, and that's, I think, a lot of times why they stay there. And and you can tell stories. I've had other people tell stories about once somebody has moved from their home, being lonely all winter, not seeing anybody, moving into a retirement facility. They've got that socialization at dinner. They want to go and play some games or do something. Their whole attitude changes completely.
Well, and I think the other thing that's really amazing about it is because they are of similar age, of similar backgrounds, they find commonalities that create some amazing communities. And I could tell story after story. I have a special friend resident right now whose wife passed away, and he was in a place where people came around him and really supported him through that grief.
Yes, I agree. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Come back, we're going to talk about the sandwich generation. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
It ain't.
You're up.
Welcome back to the Indy Boomer Show. I'm Mary Pat McKee, and I'm sitting here today with Laura Roman, who is with Westminster Village North. And one of our little producers that was speaking with us during the break there was talking about, we didn't say where it is.
We didn't.
So, go for it.
Westminster Village North is located just south of Geist on Sunnyside Road. We are very convenient to the northeast side of town.
Yes, and as I mentioned in the first segment, Westminster Village is also one of our advertisers in the magazine. You will find them in the Boomer Plus section of the magazine. That's our new pull-out section, so you can find out for sure. But the thing that I think is really awesome about Westminster, and I've been out there several times, a beautiful facility, beautiful grounds.
Yes.
I mean, it's very,
Yes.
But years ago, do you want to tell folks what it was?
Yes, so our 57 acres was the original Sunnyside Sanatorium. It was a tuberculosis sanatorium hospital. At the time, it was way outside of the city of Indianapolis, which is where they wanted the tuberculosis to be kind of concentrated. Now, of course, the city has grown around it, but when it opened in 1915...
Is that what it was, 1915?
It was 1915. Yeah. So our campus is very beautiful, with beautiful mature trees and walking paths and things.
Well, it's not also that. It's not only that. Is that some of your buildings? I mean, obviously they had to remodel and had to do things like that, but it still holds that integrity to me, or at least I can see that integrity of that era, of the early 1900s.
Yes,
so
it's very beautiful.
In the first segment we were talking about boomers retiring, thinking about where they're going to go, what they're going to do. Now this segment we wanted to talk about the sandwich generation, but I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of the club sandwich generation?
No.
The club sandwich generation is boomers that have their parents, they have themselves, they have children, and they have grandchildren.
Oh my!
So 4 generations, so 4 levels versus just that sandwich generation. It's a club generation. Yes. But I'm going to let you speak to that. Where do you want to go?
Yes. Well, we have we find that many families, many boomers are trying to care for not only their children, or perhaps their children are grown, they have grandchildren who are in their home, but also their parents have aged, and they are now trying to manage their parents' health, their parents' home, their parents' finances and things like that, and it becomes very overwhelming. And we always say you have to care for the caregiver, because if the caregiver becomes ill, if the caregiver cannot manage, then the whole system breaks down.
Exactly.
So
that happens a lot.
It does happen a lot.
Yeah.
And we find that boomers, we as caregivers, are feeling guilty that we can't manage it all. We've been told we can.
Right.
And so many retirement communities, ours in particular, does offer a caregiver support group.
Okay.
So this is a time each month when people can just come and find out about other resources, or they can share experiences, and to some degree they can commiserate. But then what do? Okay, we find that oftentimes boomers assume a responsibility as it relates to their parents, all of this care.
Right.
And to some degree, oftentimes that's not totally the best thing for their parents.
Right.
We don't want to say we're putting our parents in a home, or we don't want to feel like we can't manage all of that. However, many of the retirement communities do offer very strong and thoughtful and compassionate offerings for people when their health changes. Recently, I met a woman who came in and her mother had fallen down the stairs at their house. Their house was an old bungalow home. It had very steep steps, and mother wanted to stay in the home, but she could no longer navigate them. Suddenly she falls. Suddenly now she has a really more serious medical issue with broken bones and things, and that falls are a real danger as we get older. So a retirement community such as ours is also a very strong option for boomers to consider as they are helping their parents. And again, I say we all want to manage it all.
Right.
I mean, honestly, the biggest problem that we find is, a boomer calling and saying, I'm trying to do it all, but I can't. And I don't know how to broach this subject with my parents. And so,
well, you know what? We are a big advocate on this show about telling people, get out there, go see some retirement facilities.
research.
Westminster is a great place to check out, but check out 3 or 4 of them, because what's going to happen is you get behind that 8 ball, and then you have to make decisions that maybe aren't as good a decisions. Is that proper English? I don't think so, but anyway, it's not good decision making because you're under pressure to make a decision.
That's right.
Instead of knowing your options that are available to you.
That's right. And then that change is so sudden that it's also more difficult on an older person.
Yes, and they have to settle in. But I also think, because, and you mentioned that, the home, people have a misconception of what retirement communities are. I don't know, but at Westminster, it's like walking into, I don't know, the Conrad, I don't know, but it's pretty fancy dancy. I mean, it's very nice. I'm not fancy that it's not homey, but it's just, I don't know, I was just impressed.
It is very beautiful. I mean, we want people to not feel like they are leaving their home and going to a bad place, because certainly we're not. We consider that our homes that are up to 3,600 square feet, they're quite large. They're beautiful open concepts. Our apartments in independent living, they go from about 700 square feet up to a 3-bedroom apartment that's about 2,000 square feet.
Wow.
So again, they're large. This is not moving to a room or something like that.
Exactly.
In our assisted living, we have many different models, and in fact, we're building a new assisted living building that will open in about 16 months, and that would be late or early in middle of 2017. So
about a year from now.
So these apartments are beautifully furnished, and certainly no one should feel like there is, that their parent is living in a home that is not up to standards.
Well, and folks can bring their own things.
Oh yes, of course. You make the home your own. We allow pets.
I was just going to ask you, do you have animals?
We do. We love our animals.
Okay.
We allow pets. We encourage our residents to create their own space such that they feel that their home
it's theirs. Yeah.
They bring all of their own things. Yes.
That's exactly right. Hey, time flies once again. Hey, thank you for watching Boomer TV, or actually Indy Boomer Magazine show. Boomer TV is on Sundays with Patty Spittler on Channel 8, so be sure and check that out. Also, don't forget to stop at any Kroger or Marsh store and pick up a copy of our May issue of Indy Boomer, and our July issue with Nancy Noel will be out very soon, 1st of July. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Laura.